If you are looking for a new language arts curriculum, or you're new to homeschooling and you don't know what the language arts options are that are out there, stick around because I'm going to share with you all of my favorites that we've used over the years. So Charlotte Mason doesn't really have a prescribed language arts curriculum. She has different ways that she suggests language arts can be learned through literature, through dictation, through narration. And she does start somewhat of a formal language arts curriculum at grade 4, sometimes grade 5. A different curriculum will do different things. But often these language arts, like the Alvieri, CMEC, Ambleside Online, they don't have a language arts curriculum that they write. They borrow from other people. And often in their programs where language arts is recommended to start at the age of grades 4 or 5, you may find that, it's okay to not, there's no such thing as behind or anything like that, but you may find you want to start language arts a little sooner. We weren't always following a Charlotte Mason curriculum, and I would say that we're kind of a combination of classical and Charlotte Mason, but we did begin grammar and language arts in as early as kindergarten in grade 1. And I think that's perfectly fine. I think there's a lot of ways to do that. And so if you would like to incorporate more language arts into your homeschool, whether you are Charlotte Mason or any method of homeschooling, you may appreciate some of these options that we have used. So I'm going to show you what we've used through the years and what we've loved about it. And some of these things we are going to continue using this coming year, even alongside the Alvieri. The Alvieri recommends a language arts curriculum called Michael Clay Thompson. And I took a look at it, and at the point where they recommend to begin your student in grade 4 and grade 5, my daughter is way beyond that. She's more advanced because we started language arts in grade 1 formally. So I decided to stick with what we are already doing because it works well and we have loved it, and I really don't see a reason to change. So I am incorporating a lot of the things from our classical homeschooling into our Charlotte Mason homeschool this coming year. So let me show you what some of those things are. So the first thing that we have loved and used from the beginning, now it is the first book is not necessarily for grade 1. I guess you have to judge to see when your student will be ready for it. Although I did begin my daughter in grade 1 in first language lessons. Let me see if I can get a good view of this for you. So first language lessons is a curriculum that is grammar. It is grammar. There's also some poetry memorization in there, but its focus is on grammar. And it really is a very rigorous program, but the lessons are short. They take no more than about 10 minutes. Sometimes they would take as much as 5 minutes, but 5 to 15 maximum minutes, depending on your student. And it is a scripted lesson where you will go through and talk about the different parts of grammar, different parts of speech, and things like that. And it really is very effective, I find. In the classical model, it really involves a lot of memorization, but the way that they ease you into memorizing the different parts of grammar, the student by the end of the year really has no trouble at all remembering all the definitions and all the lists of things like helping verbs and linking verbs and pronouns and all those things with a lot of ease. So it gradually builds. There's first language levels 1 to 4. After first language, so this is by The Well-Trained Mind. Susan Weiss-Bauer and her daughter, Jessie Weiss, and also Sarah Buffington are authors of these books. And they ease you gradually into the level 4 book, which by the end, they are learning how to diagram very complex sentences. Now, you may not be someone that believes that sentence diagramming is all that important, but I think it really is quite helpful. The students actually find it quite fun, but it really helps you understand what makes up a sentence, and it does help you in structuring better sentences in your writing, I believe. So the lessons are short. After first language lessons, the well-trained mind does go into another curriculum, and I know I'm going to forget the name because I find their books have very long names. So I'm going to put it here for you. And that one is called something like Grammar for the Well-Trained Mind or something like that. You'll see the name there. And that one goes in after first language lessons into more depth and things like that. But this one is great for, now this one that I'm holding up here is level 3. And we'll be finishing up with level 4 next year because we did take 1 year out where we switched to the good and the beautiful, and we didn't, wasn't working for us, and which you can see in another video. I'll link down below if you're interested in finding out more about that. But we went back to first language lessons, and I did not want to skip level 3 because it is this gradual approach to teaching, and if we would miss out on a whole book and just go straight to level 4, we would have missed some very important parts. So I love first language lessons. It is easy, but very rigorous, and the students, like in comparison to the good and the beautiful, for example, my daughter knew so much more from this and really had a firm understanding of sentence structure and all the parts of grammar. And so this was really great. The next part that goes along with this, you don't have to get it, but it's also from the Well-Trained Mind, is called Writing with Ease. And again, Writing with Ease has 4 parts. It's Writing with Ease 1 up to Writing with Ease 4. And this really is almost very Charlotte Mason-like, but it really helps your student gradually begin to be able to retell things in their own words. What this Writing with Ease does is you read a passage from literature. After hearing the passage, you're going to ask your students some guiding questions about the passage that helps them focus on what was the most important part of the passage. Because sometimes when a student listens to a passage, they may not pick up on all the things that were really pertinent to the story or to the passage. Some of it's fiction, some of it's nonfiction. And then after listening to the passage, and they answer all of the questions, they're then given an opportunity to retell back what they can remember in, say, 2 to 3 sentences. They can write it out, they can do it orally. But from building from level 1 up to level 4, they really get a very firm foundation in how to structure compositions. And my daughter really became an excellent writer because of this. I really highly recommend this. I've talked to a lot of homeschooling moms who have actually read my daughter's writing and said, how is your daughter such a good writer? What do you use? And I really believe that it's because of this curriculum that she has become such a successful writer, and being able to structure her thoughts in an orderly way and tell back what has happened, and being able to understand the important facts and things like that, and tell back in a very well-structured way. So Writing with Ease, this is level 3, and we also will be doing level 4 next year. This one I did not start in grade 1, I started it in grade 2 because my daughter in grade 1 was really a bit of she was a good writer, and she was a good speller, and she was a good reader, but her hand would grow very tired. And she did not love copywork. She did not love writing. And so I waited for grade 2 when she was able to write longer passages and things like that. After this is what's called Writing with Skill, and that's for like middle school and junior high, early high school age, where they're learning to writing and at a much deeper level. But this is a great starting off point. You can even do this in middle school. I think it's a great place to start. If you haven't done much writing in your homeschool, this is a really great place to start, really at any age. You don't need to start it at grade 1. It's not babyish. Level 1 is not babyish, and you're not going to be doing, baby workbooks with your students. You could start them really with Writing with Ease at any age, and it really helps them build on their ability to retell back and write compositions. So along with writing, this is what I have picked up this year, and I have really, really loved it. This is a classical approach. It's called Progymnasmata. Let me see if I'm doing Progymnasmata. They call it Progym for short. Here's the picture of the book. So this is by classical, so the first 2 are from the Well-Trained Mind. This is from Classical Academic Press. This is really phenomenal. My daughter's having a lot of fun with it, but it's really also helping develop her creative writing abilities. So in Writing with Ease, it's working on being able to write reports, retelling what you've read, being able to put together that information in a really concise and orderly way, where this is focused more on their ability to write more creatively. So in book 1, which is recommended for grades 3 to 4, it is based on, so the way that Progymnasmata works, they go through a variety of different styles of writing to help teach the student how to write. And in level 1, they start with fables. And essentially what they do is each lesson is a different fable. And they take apart the fable and help the student understand how a fable is written, how to put it together, what are the points of a fable? There's a moral of the story in the fable. How could you rewrite that moral in your own words? They do things like, they'll have like a fable might be 1 page. Can you take out the most important parts of that fable and rewrite it in only 3 to 4 sentences, but yet still retell the entire fable in its entirety without all the excess words? Now, can you expand on that and retell the fable in far more detail, adding your own embellishments and things like that? It's really interesting. It's a lot of fun. She's really enjoying this writing curriculum. Because we were doing so much this past year, we've done a bit of it. You can see my bookmark is only maybe about a third of the way through. We're going to actually focus on doing this summer as part of our summer learning. And it's great. So book 1 works on fables. I'm just going to read the back here and tell you. Book 2 is about narrative, the narrative style of writing. So book 2 and 3 is narrative 1 and then narrative 2 in book 3. Book 4 is something called Crea and Proverb. Book 5 is Refutation and Confirmation. Book 6 is Commonplace. Book 7 is something called Encomium and Vituperation. Book 8 is called Comparison. Book 9, Description and Impersonation. Book 10 is Thesis, so you're learning how to write a thesis in books 10 and 11, and book 12 is Declamation. But this is a classical approach, a Socratic approach to learning how to write. And it really is going to give your student a really good foundation in all forms of writing and be more creative and thinking for themselves rather than just regurgitating words, but thinking deeply in the arguments and the logic behind their own writing. Another language arts curriculum that I have really enjoyed, my daughter has had fun. She actually asks for more of it, but we don't do it as often. And again, it probably will be something we'll do more for summer learning, is from the Critical Thinking Company, and it's called Reading Detective. This one is the one for grades 3 and 4. And this is the one for grades 5 and 6. I bought both because I didn't know how fast we would go through it. And just to have it ready, and there was a sale, which is why I bought it. So what Reading Detective does is you will read passages just like you would read in the SATs. Some of them are fiction, some are nonfiction, some are like news articles. There's different things that they focus on in their reading passages, but then they ask you questions about it where you go through it line by line, and they'll ask you to really analyze the passage and figure out what are the key things that they're saying, and just like the SATs. So it really is, my daughter finds it fun, but it really does help you prepare to analyze and think critically about what you are reading and to understand sort of underlying themes, things they might be hinting at, but don't go right out and say. And, I found those things tricky when I wrote the SATs when I was much, much younger. And this really helps prepare you for that. The Critical Thinking Company has a lot of really interesting books and curriculum available. So if you ever check out their website, they're excellent, and they're a lot of fun and really help you with logic and things like that. I probably will be picking up a few more logic books this coming year because Olivia is going to be entering into the logic phase of the classical approach of homeschooling. She had just finished the grammar stage in grade 4, and she's now entering logic, so we probably will be focusing a little bit more on logic in the coming years. And finally, this is part of language arts. For me, for at least my oldest daughter, I haven't really focused on it a lot because she is an excellent speller. But if you're looking for something super simple, if you do also have a good speller, but you want to continue on with a spelling curriculum, Spelling Workout is a great curriculum. It's quick, it's easy, the lessons are very fast. They just work through it independently, and at the end of the week, I just test them on words. We found it very effective, and she just works through these books very quickly. And it's just a simple, inexpensive, and effective spelling for someone who doesn't need a lot of hand-holding, and for someone who is a relatively good speller. If you feel that you need to have all of the spelling rules and things like that included in your lesson, this is not for you. This really doesn't really focus heavily on spelling rules. It's just a quick, easy lesson that helps to kind of ensure that your student is on track and that they're not having any spelling difficulties with certain areas. And if I find an area that, with double consonants or things like that, that might be a little trickier, for example, you can spend a little more time on that. And I would just maybe look up a rule and, online and say, well, this is the rule for this to help you remember those areas. But she hasn't had any trouble. And I really just leave her to this to work through it on her own. And I test her at the end of the week just to make sure that we're not having any difficulties. If you would like to see any of these books that I've shown you a little more closely, I'd be happy to do a flip through or a review on it. So just comment below and I can take some time to give you a closer look at these. I just wanted to kind of give you a really quick overview of some extra language arts curriculum that you may have never heard of that you can look into for this coming year. But I thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.